and welcome to my presentation. My name is Gina Lange, and I am a health and PE teacher in Liberty, Missouri, just outside of Kansas City. And I teach middle school 6 through 8. Primarily, the past few years, I've taught all 6th graders. And so I'm going to share with you a lot of the activities that we do in PE. We're very fitness focused instead of like a skill-based focus. We're more of a fitness-based focused program. So I'm going to share with you a lot of the activities that we use within our class, and I hope you can take some of them back to your classroom once school starts again. My contact information is on this slide. I will also attach this PowerPoint wherever the presentation allows us to do that, and you will have access to everything. So everything that I'm going to show you is hyperlinked, and you can access those and use them however, whenever you want. My district is an OER district, so we're an open educational resource district, and my program or my department is also. So everything that we create or we use as teachers is open and available to share to anyone that wants to use it. So our whole entire curriculum, our lessons that we do, our activities that we do are all open and available for you to look at and use. And you just go to the Liberty Public Schools website, and then you can link through there and find all of our curriculum, or send me an email and I can send you a link for that. My contact information is all on here, and I love to connect on Twitter, so please give me a follow and I'll follow you back. Like I said, I'm a middle school teacher for the past about 10 years. Prior to that, I was an elementary health teacher. So anything that we use today can be adapted to elementary, or it can go up and be used for high school level 2 with just some small changes. In our district, our middle level PE classes are gender specific. So I teach either all girls or all boys classes. And for the past few years, I've taught just the all girls classes, but I have taught all boys classes too. So a lot of the things I've used are used in our boys classes too, and were used when I taught boys classes. We meet every day all year long, and health is mixed into that too. So usually the way we work in our building is once the weather starts to change and starts to get colder and we're stuck being inside, then we start in our health units. And so we'll go 2 weeks of PE, 1 week of health, and we'll rotate like that until usually about spring break, when we all have our health content in and the weather starts to change and we're able to go back outside. We are fitness based, like I said, but as compared to skills based. So a lot of what we do is promoting fitness and the standards of fitness that SHAPE has set out. So you'll see the 3 that we focus on a lot in our building and in our district are standard 3. So looking at the students being able to demonstrate knowledge and skills to have a health enhancing lifestyle behavior. Standard 4, exhibiting responsible personal social behavior. And then standard 5, recognizing the value of physical fitness for their health, enjoyment, challenge, and social interaction. We do focus on others, or we do utilize others, but our primary focus, I would say, at least in our building, is standards 3, 4, and 5. These are all the activities I'm going to share today are fitness-based activities where we can pull in a lot of those skills component of fitness, health-related component of fitness to be talked about and to be used with our students. A lot of our activities are teacher-created. Many of them are borrowed from conferences that we have gone to. So if we know the source of where we got it from, you will see that in here too. Twitter is a great resource. Physic Games is a great resource that you'll see on here too that we utilize to get a lot of our activities. Sometimes we borrow and we modify to fit our own ways. I have a big believer in letting my classes change up activities to make them fit our needs and the way that we do things. So a lot of times we'll introduce an activity and we'll then take a break and say, how can we change this? What would you like to make different about it? And we allow our students to make those changes and then to kind of recreate the activities a little bit. Some of them are borrowed activities and we have no idea where we've gotten them from. In 20 years, I've been to so many conferences, met so many people, visited so many websites and seen Twitter so much that I have forgotten where I've gotten some of that. So for that, I apologize. If this is your activity that you see pop up here and I don't have you credited for it, my apologies. Please let me know and I'll give that credit where credit is due. And you'll see some of our activities are student created. We love to have the kids come up with their own activities, change them, try them out, and then see what changes they have to make after that. All right, so I'm going to get into all the different activities that we do. The first one that we use is called an indoor-outdoor team marathon. And I found this forever ago, and I do not remember where it came from. But you can see on the picture here, this is our indoor version. We have an outdoor version too. Students will be into groups of 3. Within each group, students will number themselves 1, 2, 3. The activities that are then go on the sheet that are not numbered, for example, right here, run 1 lap of stairs, everyone does that. And then when it gets to number 1, if you are person number 1, you're going to do that exercise. During that time, person 2 and 3, that's their rest time. Then person 2 goes, 1 and 3 rest. Person 3 goes, 1 and 2 rest. And then it's on to an everybody activity. And as you can see, as we go down, we have 1, 2, and 3 here again. But then here, this one, they all have to run a lap of stairs. And then person 1 exercises. So there's a break for 2 and 3, but person 1 isn't getting their exercise for a little bit longer. You can incorporate anything you want into this. When we've done basketball unit, we see down here we have shoot 10 baskets, or we might have them go and set 10 volleys off the wall. So any sort of sports that you want to incorporate into it that you're doing in class, you can do that. This is a great activity for our workout Wednesdays, when we're able to kind of take a lot of the stuff we've done throughout the week and incorporate it into more of a fitness activity. Let me show you a copy of what this looks like. So you'll have access to this through my Google Drive. This is our outdoor team marathon. And a lot of times we'll have them time it to see how long it takes them to get through, just for a fun activity. And then if we do it later in the year, they can compare their times. We have a lot of stairs in our building, outside and inside. So we utilize our stairs. If you have a track, you can utilize your track, whatever space you want. Usually this is some sort of a cardio activity to start off. And then we bring in more of the specific parts of fitness through the activities that each individual person will do. You can see this is our indoor, or sorry, our outdoor. And then below you will see an example of what our indoor looks like. All right, so that's one that our kids love, and it gives us a lot of variety that we can add into things, but it also has them work in groups with other students and work on that social aspect that we're trying to build within our classes. So that is Team Marathon. Fitness Yahtzee. I've seen this, we've done this in our classroom here in our gym by putting in the activities up on the board. So you can see through this picture what aces were 10 push-up, twos were 20 lunges, and so on. I was amazed at the number of kids that have never played Yahtzee before. So we had to take probably 10 minutes at the start of the class to explain the game of Yahtzee before they were able to play it. And we just took paper copies of the Yahtzee from a Yahtzee game that we have, and we made multiple copies of them, and we put the students into groups and gave them each a paper, a cup of dice, which we got the dice from our math teachers, let us borrow them, and just had them spread out across the gym. And then they would work to figure out their point totals as they went through. And we tell them, you know, it's based on luck because you don't know how your dice are going to roll, but it's also a lot of fun. This year, I saw that at Mr. Weller PE had a paper version. And if you follow him on Twitter, you can see that and get that from him. But his actually had the exercises written in there, whereas ours did not. And we put those up on a big board in our school or in our gym for the kids to look at while they were doing the activity. So super fun, super way to introduce a new game to them, to bring in some math, especially at the elementary level, for the kids to use when they exercise. My girls love to dance, love it. And dance is not my forte. It is not my background. I will get out there and do it with them, and I will be brave and try to teach them some things, but I find that it works so much better when I let my girls teach it. And I always seem to have some sort of level of dancing of girls that take classes in my class, and they're willing to teach other girls. This picture here was during a small group session called WIN that we have, what I need session. And so girls can choose, or any of our students can choose to go anywhere in the building that they want based on what they need for that day. And as far as their academics go. And so a lot of kids will choose to come to PE to work on their fitness. And so in this session I put out, I had numerous girls want to teach it. And so right here, this girl, it was chosen to teach the class, and it's fun to watch them be the teacher and lead the activities. So you'll see here a little video of them. So it gives them the opportunity to be the teacher in the class, which is fun for them to do and to try out. And they find that sometimes being the teacher isn't the easiest thing to do. And so it helps to build a lot of confidence in them, and then allows other students in the class to see them in a different manner and something that they're strong in that maybe we haven't done in class. I did this with my advisory this year too, and I had some of the girls come up with a dance, and in that class I have boys and girls, and so we had the boys up and doing it too. They didn't love it. Well, not all of them loved it, but they got up and did it, and just a great way to get moving when you need to add something to your class. This is probably one of my most favorite finds, Choose Your Own Adventure Fitness. I found it on Twitter, and you can see I gave credit to RayReb21 on Twitter for this awesome idea. And then I took her idea and changed it to what we needed for my classroom. And so in the picture, you can see how I created it. And we actually use this in our weight room. We have a weight room, fortunate enough to have a weight room that we have dumbbells and benches and that kind of thing that we can use with our girls. And so I did this and created, and girls had to go through based on what they thought their fitness needs were, and they had to choose which activity they'd want to do each time. So everybody in the class started off with 50 jumping jacks. From then they could decide, do they want to do a full body activity, a core activity, or a lower body strength activity. From then they got to choose and continue on the sheet. Choice in the weight room is huge. Prior to doing this activity, we have gone through all of these exercises at some point in the year. And so the girls know how to do everything that's on the sheet. I didn't add anything new at this point, but everything that was on there was something that they knew to do, and they could go through the activity. It's a great warm-up activity. We used it for our weight room day. You can use it for a workout Wednesday. Even for a shortened class day, we have a few of those where we have early releases and we have just 20 minutes with them or just 15 minutes with them. They can go through, you can make this as big or as short as you want, and the girls or boys can go through and get lots of different parts of fitness in. Also a great activity when you are pushed out of your gym for the day. So if you need to go to a classroom, if you're out in the hallway, wherever it may be, you can pull out copies of this and the kids can do it. I even had my kids write their own Choose Your Own Adventure activities. And so one day it was a shortened day, and so they went in and they wrote down and Choose Your Own Adventure all the way down with all the different activities that they would want to put in it. And then they're able to share that with the class, and we utilize it as another warm-up for another day, or they can trade with groups and do those activities. Word search fitness was something we did on a shortened day again. It was a workout Wednesday activity we had. So we just found, it was a holiday time, so we found a Santa Claus word search, and we put them into groups of 2, but they each had a paper of their word search and a highlighter. And then as you can see up on the board, we took each letter of the alphabet and put an exercise with it. And so they go find their spot in the gym. They search for a word. Once they find it, they highlight it, and then they exercise each letter of that word. So if they found belly, they would exercise the B, the E, the L, L, Y. Once they're finished, they go on to a new word. And at the end, we'll have them count how many letters they exercise to. Not words, because some of the words are longer than others, but how many letters total did they exercise to. And that's just kind of their check-in for the end of the day when they hand it to us and they put that on the paper. It's great for especially elementary level for vocab words that you might know that they're using in their classes. Even at the middle level, I know there's some science words or some social studies words oftentimes that kids need to be working on. And so we could pull those into our class and use those as part of our lesson 2. Outdoor scavenger hunt is super fun. Something that all my kids love to do. And I've done that with boys and girls. I think we had for a wind day once, I had 60 kids that signed up to come out and do an outdoor scavenger hunt with us. We are fortunate, as you can see in the picture, we have a great outdoor area where it has a hill. We have a cement area here, then we have the turf, and then we have a cement area down there, and then up on the top by our parking lot, we have a tennis court area. So we're able to spread our kids out a lot throughout the area. Kids are going to get, I put them into a couple group, or 2 to 3 in a group, and they're each going to get a sheet. Their rules are they have to stay on school campus in the designated area at all times, so I have to be able to see them. They cannot go indoors. They're going to use their phone or somebody's phone within their group to take a picture. And usually when I split them into groups, I make sure that there is a phone in each group. All pictures must be their own. They can't send pictures to each other saying, I got this one done, so let's trade pictures. We try to have all teammates be in the picture if they can do like a selfie of themselves with the area that they have to go to, or we just say one of you can take the picture, the rest are in the picture. They can go in any order in the list below. To get to each of the activities, everybody must be together. So I can't be running ahead and going over to the white shed so that we can do wall sits while the rest of my group is way over on the other side of the field. So you must be at the level of everybody in your group can handle. So that may be jogging, running, walking fast, or walking a little bit slower, but you have to decide that within your group. And then they have to return to me with their paper when they're finished. So you can see, you can come up with so many different things based on your area and what you have in your area for the kids to take a picture with. Some of their favorites, they have to go find my car in the parking lot. So they have to try to guess which car is mine, and I usually park right smack next to the field. So they aren't traveling all over looking for it, and I'll give them little hints, but go find my van, take a picture by it. Go find something that you reflect in and take your picture. So they'll go up to the we have glass windows in our doors and take a picture there. Best superhero pose. So they all have to find something, find a tree and do a superhero pose by it. Just as fun and creative as you can be with the activities that are on here. And at the end, they'll end up with 20 pictures. Sometimes I'll have them send me their favorite one and I'll have them email it to me, or I'll have them make a collage with a Canva and then they send me the collage, just something fun, and then we'll hang them up on the bulletin board that's outside our locker room. But this can be done completely any way you want with the space that you have. I've done it in my neighborhood with a group of girls in the neighborhood that I did some exercising with one day, and we just changed it up to fit that area. Grid fitness is something, I've been doing forever, even back when I taught elementary. And then I found this year that at Justy Bub PE, he did 6 in a row. So it was the first to get 6 in a row would win. And so you can go and follow him and see how he did his. Mine, I just try to have them see how many squares they could get filled in a certain amount of time. You can have it go 1 versus 1. And so I roll and my dice, and maybe I would come out with a, let's say right here, I came out with like a 2 and a 4. So each group gets 2 dice. He just has a picture of all the dice there, but each group would get 2 dice. I roll a 2 and a 4, so I can either go over 2 and down 4, or I could go over 4 and down 2 and do that exercise, whatever is open at that time. So I mark off my spot with either an X or an O, whichever one I am, and then I do that exercise. As soon as I'm done, then my partner can go, and they would roll. If you get the same thing that, if you get a spot that's already full, then I always let them roll again till they get one that is not full. So you can make it a competition where you can see the first to get 6 in a row, or you can just say, hey, we have 10 minutes to do this warm up. Let's see who can get the most on the paper that you can, who's the first group to get 6 in a row, whatever it may be. You can change it up. And if you click on the link, it will take you to the document. So I took the idea of, I like the way that he had laid his out on Twitter. And so I took his idea and applied it to fit my needs of my class. So if they were to roll a 1 and a 2, that's rock, paper, scissors. Whoever wins rock, paper, scissors gets to have that square. This is a water bottle flip. So you're gonna give them 2 different water bottles and they're gonna flip. Whoever lands it first gets to have that. Basketball was they go over and shoot. Whoever can make 1 basket first gets to have that box. And then the dice we had was just whoever can roll a 6 first gets to have that box. You can change those up and add any of the differences in there that you want to, but that was just a fun little way to change it up for them while they were exercising. And you can see the girls. This day we had, I think, 3 classes in the gym. So this was an easy activity to use when we had nearly 65, 70 girls in our gym. Legends Tag is a game that we kind of invented within my class based on a Legends dodgeball game that my students have loved in the past. And we are a building that doesn't really use dodgeball anymore or doing activities that involve the throwing the ball at each other. And so we changed it up so that you can have the same idea but through a tag game. And in this activity, each student is it, and each student gets a noodle or something to tag with. They're running all over the gym, so people are everywhere trying to tag each other. If you get tagged by the noodle, then you sit down, but you have to know who had tagged you. So I'm going to watch. So if Susie tagged me and I'm sitting down, I'm going to watch. And as soon as Susie gets tagged and sits down, then I get to stand back up. And anybody else that Susie tagged gets to stand back up. If we tag each other at the same time and we're not sure who tagged first, then we rock, paper, scissors. Whoever wins rock, paper, scissors gets to stay in the game. Whoever doesn't win sits down. So let's look at a little video clip of my girls playing this. Maybe. Okay, so easy activity to have going on in the gym. Even if you don't have noodles, you could use by hand tag or whatever you can find in your gym to use to tag with. And so we try to get down to see if we can have just 1 or 2 people left in the activity. A lot of times that doesn't work, and we'll just play it for a certain amount of time, and then everybody will be back in the game at some point. If I notice that there's certain people who have been sitting for a really long time, then I might call jailbreak and we start all over again. Cardio ball was a favorite that we watched be presented at Mo Shape in 2019. And I cannot for the life of me remember who presented it, but we love this activity in our girls' classes or boys' classes. Anytime we can have classes combined. You can play it with a small group. I've played it with as little as 15 girls in a class to a much larger class where we had two and a half classes together at the same time. So for this activity, you need 1, I use the gator skin balls, the small to medium gator skin ball. Divide the class into 2 teams. Put jerseys on one of them, no jerseys on the other, and you can move anywhere in the gym that you want to. The goal is to throw the ball to each person on your team and have them catch it without it dropping or without it being picked off. If you can get through every person on your team without that happening, then your team scores a point. During this activity, everybody can run anywhere in the gym you want. If I have the ball in my hand, I can run anywhere I want. However, the other team is playing defense on me. So they can stand arm's length away from me, hands up. The only thing that we don't let them do is knock it out of their hands. So once they throw it, I can knock it down. I can pick it up if it's on the floor. If I throw to my teammate and my teammate drops it, or if I throw it to my teammate and somebody knocks it down, it immediately is a turnover to the other team. And everybody on my side is back up. So if I throw the ball and Tommy catches it, I'm going to squat down. Tommy throws it to Sadie, and then Tommy sits down. So every time after you throw, you squat down. As soon as everybody on your team has caught it, then everybody's back up. Or if in the process of throwing it, it gets knocked down or a pass is not made, then it is a turnover to the other team, and everybody on my team stands back up. So you'll know who in your team has not caught the ball yet because they will still be standing. Once you throw it, you squat down. Defense is super fun for them because we talk a lot about spacing out and having your hands up in the air. Basic defense moves that you would use like in a basketball game, that kind of thing, are able to be incorporated into this activity. The big rule is you can't steal it from their hands. So we play this, my smaller classes, I use probably half the gym. My bigger classes, we use the full gym and really work on making good passes and spreading out in the area. So super fun activity that we love to do. The 600 challenge, we've done a couple different ways. You can see one day during PE, we just put up everything that was the 600 challenge up on the board. And so they were able to try to complete it as fast as they can with as best of reps that they could. In red, we gave them challenges. So if they thought that doing an air squat was too easy for them, they could do it as jump squat, or they could do a combination of both. And as you go through here and add everything up, it all adds up to 600. The other version that we have is a choice version. And so they have to go through and pick one of the 3 workouts below and complete during that class time. So they can go through and pick lower body core and do everything there. They can do cardio core, or they could do upper body core. So they get to pick what their body needs that day, complete those exercises, and then turn that in at the end of class. Wednesdays are our big workout Wednesday day across our building. So all of our classes are always doing some sort of workout, fitness focused exercise type challenges that day. And this is one that we use quite a bit. And you can change things up as you use the activity too. This year, I combined with our 6th grade boys teacher, and we did skill-related fitness components stations, and we had both of our classes in there at the same time. And so if you look at this sheet, we have different things that go along with each component of fitness. And we can look here. Here are the signs that we used. So one station they went to is line hops, agility. So they had to record on their sheet how many line hops they could do in 30 seconds. So then it tells you what you need to have at that station too. So we just set these up all over the gym and then put all the materials with them, and we had the kids rotate as they needed through each of the stations. We didn't time them. We kind of let them freely roam after we went through and introduced each of the stations. So we had yoga poses for balance. We have the reaction ball, the little bumpy balls that drop and kind of go all different directions. Standing long jump to work on power. So we measured out just on our floor different distances and just put tape marks down, and they had to tell how far they jumped. Juggling, so we took out scarves, we had different yarn balls, we had other little smaller ball, and they had to work on juggling. Relay races, which was super fun to have them do. We just set this up in the middle of the gym and then put cones out where they had to race to. And on their sheet, they had to put who won the race. Exercise ball, back to back, so they're twisting back to back. Side plank to work on their balance. So they're seeing the activities that we do in class on a regular basis and seeing why we do them now. And we had talked about prior to doing the station day what each of these mean. So agility ladder, squat jumps as many as you can in 30 seconds. Cup stacking, so we got our cups out and the timer out, and they had to go through and come up with, I don't know if we had like a 3x6x3 or whatever we had out there that day that they had to go and build. Ruler drop, which is a fun one. Just give them, we had just regular rulers, but it's even better if you have the like foot-long rulers, and they just hold, and somebody holds it above, and then they'll go and grab. And they have to mark down where their hand touched on the ruler, how long it took them to catch the ruler. And then this is their recording sheet. Each partner would record what they did, and then they had to talk about what skill went with it. So they had to read the sign at each station basically and say, when I did the agility ladder, it was working on agility. When I did squat jumps, it was working on power. So that was a great way for us to combine our classes to put into practice those components of skill fitness that we had been talking about in class, and for them to see we're using these a lot, but you just didn't realize it. Penalty box fitness, these are cool grids that I got. I'll show you the link in a second that I found and we were able to purchase for our school. They are little grids, they lay flat, but then they can also go up and make like little pyramids that you can jump over. So we can have them going over the top of something a little higher. We can have more than one person in a box at a time doing some of the basic jumps that we had going on. You can see we had a girl doing in and out planks. there too. So just like having a line out on the ground, but now you have a grid set up. So you could use it too by making chalk lines on your sidewalk where the kids could go in and do it in there. But the cool thing is having them be able to go up into a little bit of a pyramid that they can use. And so this is the link to the site where we were able to get them from. On here, they also have all kinds of different programs that you can use in little classes that they have that you can go in and lessons that you can use in your class too. So a very handy and useful site. Pizza tag, we found at Most Shape in 2019 also. And we have each student is given a poly spot or a Frisbee, and they have to hold it on their hand like they're a pizza delivery person. Their hand has to be up. We always say you try to keep your hand up above your shoulder as you're traveling around with your pizza so that it's not down, way down by their waist. So they're working on some of that arm strength too. A lot of times I'll use half the gym for just one class because it kind of wears them out if they're running around even further. But the goal is to run around the gym and knock off other pizzas off of other people's hands without having yours knocked off. So I'm going to run and try to knock down people's pizzas, but I still want mine to stay on my hand. If at any time the pizza comes off your hand, you pick it up, go do whatever the designated exercise is, and then come back into the activity. So we use this as a warm-up game quite often for our classes, just because it's a fun thing for them to do. They start laughing, they start smiling, but they're getting their heart rate up through it, and they're working on that strength. Second round, I'll have them switch to the other hand to work on their non-dominant hand strength too. So lots of changes you can do with this. Map My Run is an activity that we have used for a long time in our classes. We have a good area outside our building, and generally with most of our classes hours, we have 5 to 6 PE classes going on at once. So we have a ton of adults that are available. We will use the app Map My Run if kids have a phone and they're able to use it during school and they have internet access. If they don't, we can use the health app on their phone, especially on Apple phones. There is that health app and it will track your distance. So they just have to show you prior to it starting what their distance is at, because it's really tracking their distance even though they don't know it is throughout the day. And so they have to show me at the start of class what their health app says their distance is, and then we'll add on to that. A lot of my kids are having fitness watches and Apple watches now that we can use in the class. I've had families donate old Fitbits to our class so kids can have them. I'll have them pair up with a friend if they don't have a phone. And if all of that fails and they don't have that, then we have a track that they can utilize too. And so they'll just count their laps on the track. But we'll start off by giving them a goal amount that they need to walk or run based on their level of fitness, based on their grade. Usually at the start of the school year for 6th grade, I will say, we have 30 minutes. I want you to just see how much you can get, how many miles, how many steps you can get in for this activity. As it goes throughout the year and towards the end of the school year, I may say within a 45-minute class, I want you to get 2 miles in. And so some of them will choose to run the whole thing and be finished fast. Some of them will walk, jog. Some of them will walk the whole thing. I've never given a kiddo a distance that I didn't think they could handle. So if I say to a class, your goal is a mile, and I know that I have some kids in there that aren't going to reach it, then I'll separate them into groups and tell them individually within the groups how much mileage they have to get that day. But we have a big campus area where they can run down on the track. They can run up by our staff parking lot. We even will set teachers around the building because we have sidewalk all the way around our building, and kids can run around the building, which they think is super cool because they can run to the front of the building, run up the stairs, run down the stairs, run back around. And we just place teachers all around the building to be watching for that whole entire class. And then when they're finished, they go and show their teacher their app or whatever they are tracking it on. And that's how we'll check off for the day. Yes, you participated. Yes, you did it. Or it gives me a good idea of maybe who I need to work with on endurance a little bit more. Cone flip relay was one that we saw at Shape in 2019. And it is very similar to a bottle flip relay. In this activity, I divide my class into equal teams, as you can see. So I think this day it worked out that there were 3 people on each team. Each team starts off with a cone right on this white line. So you can see that's the starting point. The first person in line runs to the white line, picks the cone up and flips it. The cone needs to land flat, standing up with the pointy part of the cone at the top in order for it to count. If it doesn't, they just leave it and run back to their line and the next person comes out. Let's say the next person flips it and it lands perfect. They pick it up and they take it to the next line in the gym. Then they run back to their line. Then the third person comes out and does the same thing. Every time they miss the landing of it, you can see here, those cones are all staying in the same place because nobody has landed those yet. But our yellow team over here has landed them a bunch. And so they just keep moving down. And usually I'll set up 4 to 5 to 6 lines that they have to get to in order to win. And once you flip it and it lands on that final line, then you get to pick the cone up and run back and your team sits down and your team is the winner. So we talk about a lot of luck in this game too, because flipping a cone there's no great strategy to it. But it's being fast and quick out of your line and getting back to your line so the next person can go. So they love the activity. It has kind of destroyed some of my cones. So just forewarned that you may lose some cones over it because the bottom parts start to break off a little bit, but they love it. Hospital tag. I found this on Phys Ed Games a while back, and my kids love it. So we, regular tag game, you have taggers that have noodles in their hand, run around and tag you. If you get tagged, you lay down on the floor like in plank, or you can lay like in a crab plank, or you can just have them lay, whatever you want. And then I have my ambulance drivers going all over the gym. And an ambulance is made up of 3 scooters hooked together, and then we put a mat on the top of them. And then the ambulance driver has a noodle. So you can see here, that's our ambulance, and they love to be the ambulance drivers. They can go around and pick up at most 2 to 3 people that they can put on their ambulance. So I would drive over to somebody that's laying on the ground. They would climb onto the ambulance. And then once my ambulance is full, I'm going to go to one of the 4 corners of the gym. Once we get to the corner, then there's an exercise that you get off and do, and you're magically healed and you're back into the game. And so we'll switch on and off a lot because everybody wants to drive the ambulance around the gym. So we'll switch off on the taggers and the ambulance drivers. So just another take on regular tag games that you can use in your classroom. Color Run is an activity that we set up, but it doesn't involve like the typical color run where you have the colors that shoot out everywhere and people get all colored all over their shirt. Instead, we take, probably 15 cones maybe, and we set them up all over our back campus area. So you can see we have some over on the other side of the track. We'll have some up on top by our courts. We'll have some on the stairs, some all the way down at the other end of the track. So each cone has 1 marker underneath it. So let's say I put this cone down, I put a red marker under it. And then over here, I put down another cone, I put a green marker under it. So I'm gonna have 15 different colors because I'm gonna have 15 cones. The girls, her class starts off at the top of our, up by where we start our class. And I hand each group, so in each group there's 2 to 3 people. I hand them a card. And on the card is 1 line with 1 colored marker drawn. Their goal, so let's say I make a line with red and I hand it to Jimmy's group. Jimmy and his group go off all around the campus area and they're gonna lift up each cone and look and see what marker's underneath it. If they find the color marker that matches the line on their paper underneath the cone, they take the mark off and they make it a T. So you've already had a line going down and now they cross over it and it makes it a T. And then they put the marker back together, put it under the cone, and then put the cone back on top and run back to me, and I'll give them another color to go look for. So this game is some luck because you're hoping your initial few times you find colors quickly. There is some quickness to it because you want to get to each cone as quick as you can. However, you need to stay with your group. So you are traveling always as a group. I can't run ahead and look at one cone and my partner look at another cone. We have to be at the same cone together at the same time. And so I may be going and looking at 13 cones until I find that red marker. and then I make my tea, and then I go get another color. So there's some memorization that comes into this too, of knowing, okay, the green marker is underneath the bench, the red marker is by the white shed, the purple marker is on the goal line of the football field, whatever it may be. So it's fun, and it creates a lot of work on endurance. And I will oftentimes tell my kids, hey, pair up with somebody that you think is of equal endurance ability as you, or that wants to be challenged with you, so that they can travel together. And if they have groups that want to walk fast to every station, that's totally fine. If I have groups that want to run to every station, that's totally fine too. You can use this, I've used it in a smaller space just in my front yard for neighborhood kids to do. So it can be done in small, large spaces. The trick is remembering where everything is and getting all the colors done in order to be complete. Fitness drumming is a cool activity that I saw way back at one of the conferences I went to. And I've linked here a bunch of different playlists that we have used for this. I'll show you a picture of my class doing this. And you'll see we use drumsticks. And so I ordered a bunch of drumsticks just off of a music site. And I put it up on the screen or on the wall for them to see. We have a projector in our gym, and I just put it up on the wall. And there's music going, and they're leading them through the different activities, or different dance moves on there. So touching side to side. Sometimes you'll do a rainbow. And we talk a lot about having good, solid core strength while doing this, making sure their tummies are tight, because they will find that the next day they are pretty sore after doing this, because there's a lot of side-to-side movement and a lot of up and down movement working their core that they don't necessarily work all of the time. But I've linked on here some of the playlists that we like off of YouTube that you can use for your own classes. We've used, before I was able to have money to purchase drumsticks, we used pencils. So I just got a bunch of pencils that were not sharpened, and that's what they used to tap side to side. Super fun, different way to get some core strength in the classroom. Table ball we found forever ago, and it is an absolute favorite within our class. And you can see Bart Jones wrote down the rules for it, and I believe that's where we found it first a few years ago, and utilize it on a lot of our short days and a lot of our kind of free days in gym, where it takes just one table. You can see here this kiddo used a smaller ball and a paddle, which is kind of a great idea for if we're going back to school and we aren't touching a lot of things. So if I have some paddles, I can clean those off in between classes, and then kids aren't all touching the ball with their hands. But generally I'll use a volleyball, and they'll roll it down the table. So I have the table, and we have 3 people at it. So there would be a person here at the end and at the other end. Roll off the table, and it bounces one time on the floor, and then I am able to push it back onto the table. You don't want to lift it or carry it on the table, but push it back on the table. And then the next person in the order would go and get it. So let's show what that looks like. So it comes off, they pop it up, the next person goes. She pops it up onto the table. So there's tons of movement. When I play this with my classes, I hit my step goal by lunchtime. Okay, so she didn't quite get it back on the table. We work a lot on pushing it on the table and not lifting it up onto the table either. And you're constantly moving and getting your heart rate up through the whole activity. So we love this. The boys' classes love it. We do a lot of times when we combine, maybe we're down to one gym for the day, and we combined with the boys' classes, and we'll set this up and some other table games up for them to do in class. So the rules are right here. And then you can kind of see the picture how we did it. And I found this on Twitter. I thought that was super cool, of adding the paddle and a smaller ball into the game, especially coming off of COVID stuff that we may be coming off of when we go back in the fall. Plank tag, knee tag, toe tag, ankle tag, just some other great ways to add tag into your class. Knee tag, they're going after trying to touch each other's knees. Toe tag, they're trying to gently step on the other person's toes. Ankle tag, you're trying to tap the other person's ankle. In this one that you'll see the video of, they're playing plank tag. And so there's lots of different versions of plank for my girls because they all have lots of different abilities. So my plank may be on my toes, my partner's plank may be on their knees, but you're trying to plank and then touch the other teammate's hand. So here's what it looks like. So you can see planking, trying to touch, and you'll see this group over here we're gonna get to is doing a real great job. They're getting their hands up, they're really moving around, trying to keep your butt down while trying to not let your teammate get your hand. So fun activity. Wednesday, workout Wednesday choices. A lot of times we'll set up a big choice board outside and call it our kind of CrossFit challenge, where they have to choose something from each column and then go back and choose again. And you'll see there's an electronic copy that's linked here for that. 100 burpee challenge, same thing, another challenge that we just created. Sometimes it's challenged by choice in our class. You can try the challenge if you want, or you can do a different activity. But this activity that day was eventually you're gonna end up doing 100 burpees in class that day, along with some other activities that you can see are mixed in. And I attached that electronic copy to there too. Uno Fitness, there's an electronic copy there. We do this a lot with, I think I bought 3 decks of Uno cards and we use them on different workout Wednesdays, and you're in partners. And we put this up on our screen in our gym, up on the wall, I guess, and they're able to do the exercises. And I think I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna quickly jet through these so you can see them. Partner workouts, student-led workouts, a lot of times I'll have girls write workouts on their own, and then they get to teach them to the class that day. And so they're the teacher, and I become a classmate in the class and do the workouts for them. So you'll see different ones that kids have come up with in class. And then finally, Fresher is an awesome game that we found on Phys Ed Games, and I've put the link to it so that you can see how it's played and the rules that go with it. But then also there's an example of my class playing it too. And we love this game. It's a running game, tagging game, great warm-up activity to have in class. And that is it. I'm sorry to rush through the final few things. Thank you for watching and being a part of this. Please let me know if you have questions. I know it's oftentimes hard to learn games and activities by a Zoom video or a video on a virtual conference, but I would love to share more with you. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them more specifically about the activities we do in class. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. And I hope that you can take some of this back to your classroom. Thank you.